Let me retweet from Blake. Oh, we're live.
Okay.
You are live. So we've got Chris, Che, and our special guest, Matt, from Project 2020, Pretty Big News podcast on our show tonight. Wanted to start it off by just saying who we are, what we do, why we're here tonight. I'm Chris, Goldline Cards. You can see it on my screen right there. Been a collector most of my life. Recently got back in. And just like everybody else, just a guy having a good time with this hobby, do a couple shows with my buddies, with my daughter, and just overall here to have engagements and have a good time. I mean, Che?
Man, that's my story almost exactly. I don't have the daughter, but I'm Che, Ian Sports Cards 1 on Twitter. Been collecting. I'm 46 now. I've been collecting since I was about 10. I did take a pretty big break in there, about 20 years break from collecting, but I'm back in it now. I just absolutely love it. And what we're doing now, I did not expect when I got back in the hobby, and that's been the best part of it to me. As good as I feel ripping a pack and getting a good card out of there, the relationships that I've found on Twitter especially has just been a blessing. And thank you guys for being on here talking to me tonight. I love this kind of stuff. So, Matt?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate the invite. Like you, Che, I was collecting as a kid and then took a long hiatus, probably 12 to 15 years of a break. And then this past year, in April, I learned of Project 2020. And in May, I was actually looking for a job and connected with Blake because he posted something online about packing and shipping all of these cards. And I DM'd him. Unfortunately, he responded to me, and I started to work for him a few days later. So, yeah, that's how we first got involved.
Wow. That's awesome. You may win the coolest story of 2020.
I got so lucky. So, yeah, that's how I connected with Blake and first learned of Project 2020. But I've got a bit of a sports journalism background. I used to work for Major League Baseball's website, and Pipeline for about 3 years. A lot of social media for them, a lot of articles. And I'm lucky enough that a couple of my former colleagues from Cali and Mike Rosenbaum have been kind enough to join me on Pretty Big News. And I've been able to talk to them. We talk about prospects. Yeah, I'm just extremely fortunate to be in the position I'm in. And just to echo your sentiments, Che, that's been one of my favorite parts about rejoining the hobby is just meeting and connecting and befriending all these amazing people who are just incredibly generous. And it's really changed my life for the better.
That's awesome. And, if I can say, of all the Project 2020 artists and their teams, you guys have been number one by far as the social media engagement and involving the fans and making us feel like we know you guys. So kudos to all of you, Tony and Blake. You've done a tremendous job on the Twitter machine, just involving the regular Joe, so we can feel like we get to know you guys. That's been awesome. So I appreciate that.
Of course, yeah. I feel like that's something that Blake does a great job with. I was just sort of lamenting today how I need to up my Twitter game and just tweet more and do more videos and stuff like that. But yeah, I think Blake he's been live streaming since I can't remember if it was April or March when he did his first live stream. I think it was April, and I think he did Ricky Henderson. And it's been a great way just to give fans, a peek behind his process and how he goes about kind of creating these cards. So thank you. I really appreciate that.
So Matt, we've got two comments for you. One said they're getting a lot of echo from your volume.
Okay.
And then another Matthew has a comment. Where do you want to be in 5 years? # Team Matt. So he said he thinks it's just it might just be you a little better now, but also you were talking the whole time he was on. So
got it. Hopefully the headphones help a bit.
That's much better on my end, so.
Okay, great. What's up, Matthew Burke? Great question. Where do I want to be in 5 years? I'm also getting a lot of echo just from the headphones, so maybe it's still an issue. I would love to still be doing pretty big news, hosting PBN and talking to people and learning things. Maybe I should plug into the soundboard. I don't know if that would
Matt, well, you figured that out. Let me talk about a couple things here because I want to talk about Blake specifically for a minute and just the kindness that he shows to the community, especially my family and specifically. You know, we did a raffle for my daughter. Did a Bedazzled Mike Trout Ben Baller 2020 card and raffled it off for money for the American Heart Association. And Blake was nice enough to donate, and he was actually the winner. And we've sent him plenty of Claire cards, which my daughter's almost 5 and does her own art cards. And just I feel like this whole Project 2020 movement has really inspired other people to make cards. Like my wife has this. A League of Their Own Dottie, and it's from Justin Quasson. I'm sorry if I spelled her name wrong. There's the information on the back. And so, Blake knew, Matt, I think I hit you up that Jesse Winker was her all-time favorite player. I asked if I needed to send a card in. You were like, no, we got this. So they send it. And, you were talking about in the email what a sticker from a breaker is. It would be this exact sticker that Blake puts on. But it would be, Blake makes his own things and gives his own product. But if I hit a $500 card and someone puts a one touch over it and now puts their breaker sticker over half my card, I got to take that off, get some Goo Gone on there and really get that off because I don't want that because, if I hit a Lewis Robert, I don't PC him, I'm probably going to sell it. So now to be able to sell that card, I've got to get that off. Now, to me, this is perfectly all right. This is his product that he sent me for my specific PC, and I absolutely love the sticker. But if I'm in a break and I'm paying someone $200 and they put the sticker on, now I've got to use Goo Gone and stuff or potentially damage the card just to get their sticker off. So I've even been in the comments, hey, don't put a sticker on my, if you're putting in a one-touch, no sticker. And I get it. I totally understand. It's promotion for them, which, every breaker needs more clients. So I totally understand. But I know that was one of your questions was what's a breaker sticker? But I mean, Blake and the whole Project 2020 crew, but specifically Blake, has just inspired so many other people and so many other artists to be doing their own. I know, like I do a Monday sales thread. There's 5 or 6 people in there with their own personal made cards selling them. And I think it's just amazing the way they have, you guys have had influence on the community. It's touched me personally, like I said, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it is just like the art side of cards is booming now like I've never seen it before.
Jake, go ahead.
Oh, absolutely. That's another thing that I've gotten back into the hobby. I had 0 card art. And now I'm looking at my wall. I've got 1, 2, 3. A guy named I Draw Baseball Cards. I've got 3 of his things framed on my wall. I've got a lot of Gypsy Oak on my wall. There's so many talented folks out there that are putting out unique products that to me are just as important in a collection as something that put out Pop or Panini. Because I'm looking at a couple things that I've taken the time to go get framed and put on the wall. And I know that very people have that in their collections. I loved it. I love the card. Matt, I look behind you right now. I want that Jackie Robinson. So bad that's over your right now. Just stuff like that. It's still amazing to me. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I completely agree. Here's a card. It's actually a little trash can called that Matthew Burke, who I believe is in the chat. What's up, Matthew Burke? Did for me very generously. And here's another card that I believe this was Third Dan Art who did this. Dan Baumfield, and this is just a very nice Cody Bellinger art card. But yeah, that's been really just an amazing thing to see, this explosion of creativity in the card art world. And I mean, Chris, I felt bad that it took me so long to send Claire the Jesse Winker card because I was looking for one of those for like a solid 6 or 8 weeks because I feel like I was going to send that to you in June, and I didn't end up sending it till like end of August or something like that.
And I probably got 5,000 of them here. I could have just sent you one and done it quicker, because literally she is, according to the card database, trading card database, she is the #1 collector in the world.
It's amazing. #1. It's amazing. Yeah, it's really been amazing to see, and to see fans, people like yourself, Chris, write letters about, hey, I do card art with my kids now. That is a beautiful thing. Someone that Blake had on his stream earlier this year, Frank Murphy, who's a children's book author and a teacher in Pennsylvania. He now has his students in, I believe, his middle school class doing card art, and it's incredible to see. Awesome. Yeah, so it's really one of my favorite parts of this entire project. And I wasn't a huge art fan, I would say. Yeah, I really wasn't a huge art fan before 2020, and what's been a very dark and difficult and tumultuous year. It's been one of the bright spots is that I really feel like I enjoy and appreciate art so much more than I did before.
Well, that's great. You mentioned that. One of the questions that's a little further up in the chat here is questions. How do you keep positive all the time, Matt? Like, you just the happiest person I've ever seen, or like you just have a wonderful life and the only thing that's bad is the mouse, or what? Like how are you just the happiest dude all the time? So
I definitely
had from a viewer.
What's up, Heavy J? What's up, Jason? Hope you're doing well, my friend. Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible question, because I wouldn't really consider myself a super positive person, to be honest. I mean, we can talk about this more later if you guys want. But like, I suffer from pretty severe depression, and I would say that on the whole, I'm kind of a pessimistic person, but I've really been working on changing my mindset to become much more optimistic and just try to see the positive in things and see the good in things. And, just see the bright side of things. And, we spoke a little bit about this before we went live. I had F-Dot on the podcast not too long ago, and he spoke a lot about optimism and, said some really insightful things. I think, optimism is not the same as happiness. If you lose a friend or a family member or someone you love, it's normal to be sad about that. It would be odd to be happy about that. But you can still be optimistic about certain things in your life, despite feeling this immense sadness. And so I'm really trying to, just be optimistic about things. And, I feel like that's something that Blake has helped me with quite a bit. And also I'm really lucky that I have super loving and supportive parents who've helped me a lot. And I'm lucky.
Absolutely.
For a lot of reasons I'm lucky. But I don't know. I guess it's easy to keep it positive when I've been in unfortunately, some pretty dark spots in my life. And I'm in a much better place right now, mentally and emotionally. So therapy helps too.
Yeah, I got to say, obviously from the question in the chat, you have, whether you know it or not, had a positive impact on a lot of people. And I mentioned it earlier about how your entire team and your interactions with folks. And I don't know if you all know how much that could mean to somebody, just to make them feel like, I don't know what to say important, but, just that positivity. I've seen Blake post a video completely just diffusing a troll. And just, and that positivity that he exudes, and maybe that is helping you, rub off on you, but just your entire team. And obviously, like they said in the chat, in this crazy, hectic, darkest of years, I think you guys have been a blessing to more people than you even realize.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
You have no idea, like, the inspiration you've given to my 5-year-old. I mean, like, I'll tell you right now, this is my favorite Project 2020 card.
Yeah.
Because Blake finally got the flag on the right side. I'm just teasing because I know there was I was one of them who brought it up about the Mark McGuire card. And I get it that he couldn't put it on the other side. There was no room. But I felt like I started that storm because I was the first one to notice it. And then someone else took off with it. Someone else took off with it. And then, like Che just said, he just diffuses it, like, not trying to be a troll, just literally asking a question. Like, did you know? Were you aware? And he was like, no, I wasn't. So but hey, this is a cool looking car. And he said, I fixed it, turn it sideways. Now it's right. Boom. What a cool thing to do. Right. Perfect. He diffused everything in the perfect Blake Jameson way. And Matt, you talked about all the people around you. And I feel like with myself, I've got Tourette syndrome. You'll see me doing this a lot during the show because I can't help it. But I've been bullied all the time and stuff, but I surround myself with kind people. Like I had 4 mail days today. I had someone knew I was looking for the Jesse Winker Chrome for Claire, and I got the out of 25 from my buddy. And I've been looking for it for months, and it just came because I surround myself with kind people. Yeah. And I feel like you do the same. Like you surround yourself by kindness, and it just spreads. And my thing is good people doing good things. I even I got on the back of my koozies now, and that's just kind of my motto is if you're good things will happen to you. If you're kind, if you surround yourself with the right people, that's what brings happiness. We're all in the hobby to collect, but I'm in it to engage for the relationships. Like Che's one of my good friends now, and we would never have had that if we didn't have this hobby. My buddy Nick lives down in Florida. He's one of my best friends. I talk to every single day. Never would have had it. And even never would have even met him if it wasn't from Cody. What's up, man? That's my guy right there. But Cody's a friend of mine, and never would have met him if it wasn't from the hobby. It just has a way of bringing people together. Last week I saw 2 people going through a tough time, and I just posted, hey, we need like $100 to rack somebody. Within 2 minutes, I had $100 in my PayPal, no questions asked. And then it's like 3 days later, bad things just happen again. Like I hate asking people for money, but then boom, $200 to buy someone something. And it's just like, it's not that you're buying a card. It's knowing that 10 people thought about you to do something nice that makes you feel better. Obviously, like with the loss of a grandparent, Jamie Spittler, like he knows he lost his grandfather, and we racked him these LaVishka cards. And he was just so touched that many people cared about him. Like the cards are secondary. Obviously, he liked them, but it's the kindness that spreads. And while we're talking about that, I got to mention the Movember real quick because I got to plug myself. We're in a group of awesome people. I'll when you guys are talking, I'll drop the shameless plug into the chat. But Mr. K Dub started a group of hobby people to raise money for men's health. And that's what we're doing. We're growing mustaches. We're posting pictures each day. My dad joined the team. My mom sent me a picture. Zach, man, if you just missed it, I just talked about how you racked Claire that orange winker and how blessed I am to have a friend like you, 3 minutes ago. So Zach, right there, he's the one who sent Claire that orange winker that we opened up. My dad joined, and he hasn't had a mustache since 1981. So my mom sent me a picture of him from 1981 with the mustache, and now he's gray stash, and it's awesome. It just, different things bring people together, and the hobby is definitely one of them. And like you said, man, this art is bringing people together. Like you gave me time with my daughter. That's priceless. Like hours of painting with my kid. You guys gave that to me. Like I can never repay you for stuff like that. I'm getting overwhelmed. Someone else got to talk before I start tearing up.
To clarify, we didn't give that to you. We may have inspired it, but you took the onus upon yourself to do that. But I just want to ask you guys one question. How did you 2 meet, and how did you 2 become friends?
Through Twitter. We did just hobby Twitter. I can't even remember what it was. It was, I don't know if it was a random act of kindness that we were in together on. I don't know. No, I know what it was. It was through Blake. Yeah, it was. I've got it.
It was the Heart Association, right?
So
that's it.
I remember that.
You donated to the Heart Association. We sent you that.
Yeah. My family has a tremendous history of heart disease. I'm 46. I had a heart attack at age 38. I had 2 cousins pass away in their 30s on that side of the family, and then my mom was one of 8 kids, and they all passed away from heart attacks. So he posted something about Claire walking for the Heart Association, and so I just I think he had posted that Blake had won the auction, which I never saw that original post because I don't know if we followed each other or not. But when Blake had made that nice donation to get the Claire card, so I knew I couldn't get the Claire card, but I went in and said, "Hey, man, here's my donation. So I made a donation, and then because of that, and I didn't, win the Claire card, they sent me that card, and then we just kind of started. I sent Claire some art materials, so I went out to like Hobby Lobby and just bought her a bunch of, I think some of the stuff like this. I bought a bunch of that, and I got his address there, and then said, hey, here, make more stuff, and spend more time together. And then since then, we just kind of started, DMing each other a lot, and it's been a blessing. We started doing this chat. Yeah, so we had common
I love the Cincinnati Red
team fandom. The fact that he's a Duke basketball fan almost fractured the friendship, and it was. I'm big UK. I'm Kentucky fan, and I'm sure he's going to talk about Christian Laettner later when we talk about our favorite plays of all time. And I might disconnect the chat at that point. Yeah, but no. So and since then we've done this. Man, don't let him undersell himself. We talked about all the positive you've done. Man, he's always looking out for other people. So he talked about good people doing good things. That man is he's always thinking about somebody else, doing something kind for somebody. So he's been an inspiration to me. So yeah, I've enjoyed the friendship. We've never met. We're going to change that. Got an awesome new card shop here in Lexington. A guy by the name Kentucky Cards on Twitter. If you don't follow him, go give him a follow. He has opened the absolute most amazing local card shop you'll ever see. And so Chris is going to come down. We're going to go visit that together. So pretty cool. So that's how we became friends. So we've never met, but we're going to change that. So
that's awesome. I love that. Because that's the way it is so much right now. Because I'm looking at the chat right now. There's quite a few names and people I know who I feel the exact same way. I'm friends with them. I just haven't met them in person yet. So that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So if Project 2020 ever got into football, say Project 2020 went and did football, who are some guys you can think of that they would use? The three off the top of my head that I think are just like iconic looking rookie cards are John Elway,
great one,
Barry Sanders, and Jerry Rice. I mean, that's of course coming from my childhood when I was a young collector, and I've got those cards. And actually my brother just sent them all into PSA last week when I did a submission that, they're coming back 9s and 10s. Like they are in pristine condition, been not touched in a closet since 1980 probably, because we used to trade cards in the backyard with friends. My other brother's got the Jordan Fleer and is almost terrified to send it in. So we're gonna do a group submission through Card Collector 2 Ryan. He's in my town, but it looks nice. Like it looks good condition. But yeah, if they were to do a Project 2020 with football, those are three guys I would think they would use. Heavy J said Walter Payton. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Can you think of some names?
I can. Oh, no, go ahead, Shaq.
No, Matt, you go ahead because I'm going to plead ignorance on this one. I bought my first football card ever in the year 2020. So I don't have a history of football card collecting. I would say Jim Brown, but other than that, yeah, I've not been a football card collector. So go ahead, Matt.
What was the first football card you bought this year?
It was late 2019, I think. It was Prism Football. It was a blaster box of Prism Football.
Okay.
Got a Kyler Murray silver prism out of there. That was probably, and that got me.
Whoa!
That got me hooked. Yeah, that got me hooked. But
that's a great card.
Yeah, I love football.
Jay's got a nice Benny Snell collection.
Yeah, and so now Benny Snell, if you guys don't know, plays for the Steelers. He did play for University of Kentucky. Got a couple carries last night. He's not getting as much playing time as I would hope, but UK football, I'm a glutton for punishment. They're not good. They haven't been good all my life. But it is my single favorite sports team and has been since I was 5 years old. So I would rather have the Benny Snell in his UK jersey than in his Steelers jersey. So I spent a little too much money on some national treasures and a lot of rookie patch autos of Benny Snell in his UK jersey. So yeah, that's been the most amount of football cards I've bought by far are Benny Snell's. So, but yeah. He's not going to be on a Project 2020 or Project 2025, that's for sure. But
no, unless something drastically changes, probably not.
Yeah.
I'm a Jets fan, unfortunately. So even though he's probably one of the more overrated players of all time, I feel like a Joe Namath rookie card would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have looked up how expensive that card is. It is very expensive, his rookie card. It's a cool card. I think it's like one of the tall boys, kind of like an old, like late 60s card. That is like at least $1,000, that card. So yeah, I feel like that would be a cool one. I'm trying to think of like maybe Dan Marino, maybe some other iconic QBs of. I feel like Favre is a little too recent. I don't know why, but like we need to go a little.
So with Project 2020, they got Trout as the only active.
Yeah.
So maybe Brady.
Yeah.
But Brady's also, 6th round pick. His card's not very iconic looking.
True. Yeah.
Compared to like Drew Brees. I feel like Drew Brees has more of an iconic looking card, or even like Aaron Rodgers, people later in their career. Because obviously, Patrick Mahomes would be Project 2030 or whatever, because that's just ridiculous. And his Prism card is beautiful. But, looking back on some, I'm just trying to think of Hall of Famers in my mind and looking at their cards, like, Joe Montana. But then you mentioned Namath may not be the best looking card. I mean, Walter Payton, definitely. They got comments of Joe Montana, Sam Huff, Dick Butkus.
Yeah. Those are some great picks. I don't know. Does Lawrence Taylor have an iconic rookie card? I honestly don't even know.
I don't think it was very iconic. I think it was pretty ugly, if I can remember seeing it. But I don't know if it'd be. Yeah, this is that mid '80s. That was anything in the mid. Well, besides Eric Davis '85 Fleer, that's the most iconic card ever. But there wasn't a whole lot mid '80s that was really, really, truly iconic. So
yeah, one cool card I've noticed is I think it's like the 1989 Topps traded Deion Sanders rookie card where he's in the Falcons uniform. I'm not even a big Deion Sanders guy, but that's kind of a cool card. So yeah, I need to. I've only delved a little bit into football, like you, Che, but I would love to dive a little bit deeper into it. I was a fool. I was telling everybody, like all my friends before the 2020 football season started, buy Kyler Murray rookie cards now because they're going to go up in value. I bought one, so I'm glad I at least bought one. I wish I had just spent a lot of money on some Prism Murray rookie cards because they bought one. Yeah.
Well, I traded away a gold laser. I don't have a card sitting here that I traded for. Kyler Murray rookie for a out of 10 John Elway auto. And I think it's just absolutely nuts that I can buy like before the season. Like Drew Lock is taking a little tumble because he hasn't had the greatest. But Drew Lock autographs went for more than John Elway autographs in April.
Yeah,
and
I don't.
Daniel Jones autos are higher than Hall of Famer autos, and it doesn't make sense to me. But
there was a year, if I will, my limited football card knowledge, that you could buy a Walter Payton PSA 9 rookie for less money than a Clyde Edwards. Some of the Clyde Edwards-Hilairs that were, and I was like, this is crazy, this is nuts. But I digress.
Yeah, so Heavy J also said Red Grange.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah,
Heavy J knows so much sports history, and his knowledge is immense. So that's great.
I'm gonna have to start engaging with Heavy J, and we're gonna become friends.
Yeah, he's a very talented card artist himself. So
I've seen. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, along those same lines, then we talked about Brady being, if he was the one now. Who's your top 5 quarterbacks? I know you talked about this after Kyler's big play to DeAndre. If you haven't seen that picture of Hopkins, is that not like the most like Michael Jordan call you right now because we're getting a commercial because you got the jump man in the glove? Like it's got to be the shoes, it's got to be the glove. It's DeAndre Hopkins. Like there's your commercial right there. But who would be your top 5 quarterbacks playing right now? I've got, in no particular order, Mahomes, Rodgers, Kyler, Russ. And I really struggled on 5 with Lamar, but they've kind of figured him out. But I went with Brady because he's putting up numbers that are ridiculous at his age on a new team. But is he still a top 5? Like, I didn't know who else to replace him with, because with the younger guys, I mean, there's a whole bunch of people who could be 5.
Yeah. So this is for you. This is if you had to win in 2020 right now, not like starting a franchise for the next 5 years.
Right this second, after this week, you watched sports yesterday. So today, who are your top 5 quarterbacks in the league right this second? On November 16th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
I don't think Brady makes my top 5, but he's definitely in the running at that 5 spot. Yeah, I mean, Mahomes, Russell, I think have to be 1 and 2.
Yeah.
With how they're playing. I think Kyler would be 3 right now, although he's just so exciting to watch that maybe that just clouds my judgment there.
That should have been the question. Who's the most exciting to watch?
True. We can discuss that too. I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched a ton of the Ravens this year, and it seems like that offense is definitely not clicking the way it was. But I feel hard-pressed not to include Lamar Jackson in my top 5. And then at 5, I mean, you could go Brady. You could go Deshaun Watson. Although, I mean, that Texans team is, what, like 2-7? They're really struggling.
Yeah, they're struggling.
Yeah. I mean, Josh Allen looks phenomenal. Yeah. And so that was the other guy. I think just – I mean, when you look at just arm strength, Josh Allen and Deshaun Watson, I mean, Josh Allen's arm is just unbelievable. And, I mean, Brady's still making all the throws, but just the physical tools for Josh Allen are insane. And Deshaun Watson too. So I think I would have both of those guys above Brady. So Brady's in that like 6 to 8 range for me. But I think I'm also a Jets fan and that I hate Brady, so that kind of clouds my judgment here. Go ahead.
I'm glad you brought up Josh Allen. Josh Allen's growing on me a lot. I mean, being the big UK football fan, we had a Josh Allen, as a defensive end who went to the Jaguars last year.
Yes.
So around here, when you're talking about or you're searching for a Josh Allen card, it's like, which one? And we would say the good one, which means, the good Josh Allen was the one that played for the Jaguars. But he's made me eat my words. I've loved watching him play this year. I would throw him, especially if we're talking most exciting. I would put him in my top 5 list, along with Mahomes, obviously, Kyler, Lamar. But Josh Allen's right there as far as exciting to watch. He's right there.
Well, there's one team that's 9-0 with a quarterback named Ben Roethlisberger that none of us have talked about.
Yeah. But
the Steelers are 9-0, and Roethlisberger just keeps
doing it.
Is old man River ever going to come? Because, he took last year off with injuries, contemplated retirement, and now the Steelers are the best team in football, and not one of us even mentioned his name.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so much talent right now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, okay. But along the lines of the most exciting quarterbacks, if you could take one quarterback, contract included, to start a franchise with, who you taking? Because obviously, with Rodgers and Brady and Breeze with their age, but then Mahomes with this huge contract, or Lamar. I mean, you can go Herbert and Tua with the rookies.
Yeah,
that's a tough question. I mean, what do you guys think? Jay?
I'm still going Mahomes. I'm going Mahomes. I'm paying him the money. Yeah. I mean, that's and not even second guess myself. So, yeah.
I honestly think it's almost like a Brady and Manning situation where Mahomes alone, no matter what he's worth, he gives you a chance every single year just because he's on your team. Like, they're probably going to win 3 or 4 more Super Bowls just because he's your quarterback. That's how good he is. So, pay the man whatever he wants and put whatever you can around him, and he's just going to bring it to you because, I think we're all in agreement with Mahomes there.
Yeah, 100%. I think watching Patrick Mahomes is like, it's a special experience as a sports fan. Like, I'm always excited to watch what he's going to do next. If there's ever a Chiefs game on, I want to be watching that Chiefs game. And I can't say there's many other NFL players I've ever watched.
He reminds me of, and I'm old. I'm an old guy. I'm older than both of you. Of watching Magic Johnson play basketball growing up in the 80s. Just like you said, you don't know what he's going to do. He's got a skill set, and he does things that we've never seen before on an NFL football field. He's a joy to watch. right now. And yeah, he's amazing.
I just remember being a Broncos fan. They're playing in Denver. It's a close game. It's like 3rd and long or 4th and long, and Von Miller's chasing him, about to get the sack. He switches hands and throws left-handed and makes the completion. And I'm just like, had I been into cards then as much as I am now, I would have went out and bought every single Mahomes card that I possibly could have found at that time. But, at that time I was like here and there, where today I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I want to buy everything all the time. Everything's beautiful. I love everything. And, that's how everybody is right now. Yeah. But that play was the moment. And I'm watching it because it's against my squad. I'm like, wow, this guy has it. And just thinking of, Drew Lock as my quarterback. And then you see these younger guys, Tua, Herbert, and Burrow, they look like they just have it.
Yeah.
But like Daniel Jones and Drew Lock, they don't look like they have it. Now Denver's got a depleted offensive line. Von Miller's out. Starters are out of every position. So I'm still a believer in Lock and Daniel Jones. I'm going to be buying them up. But it brings the question of, we'll start with the NFL and get into Major League Baseball. Which guys do you think are increasing in value over the year in the offseason? Kyler Murray, Josh Allen obviously blowing up. Even, Baker Mayfield gets no love, and he has single-handedly turned the Browns from nothing to 6-3. I mean, not single-handedly, it's a talented team, but when was the last time someone was talking about the Browns?
Yeah.
2001, but – so, what do you think's going up and who's going down? Because I still believe in Daniel Jones and Drew Lock, and I'm in the minority there because they just don't look like they have it. But, with Tua, Herbert, and Burrow looking like they have it, what do you guys think? Who are you buying up, and who are you trying to let go of?
You talking long term? Who's going up, or who's going to be going? Who do you need to buy over the winter because they're going to be at the start of next season? They're going to be going up.
Yeah, that, Jay. If you want to postseason buys, stock up, stock down kind of thing, or postseason, you don't think they're going to do good, so sell them right now, or they're going up, postseason they always go down a little bit, scoop them up then because they're going to dominate for years to come.
That's tricky. My gut instinct, because he has really outperformed what I thought he would do, even though he plays on a 2-win team, is I've been super impressed with Burrow. I really have. But he plays in Cincinnati. I mean, he plays in one of the smallest, weakest markets you can play in. How's that going to affect his long-term value? I know. I'm as close to Cincinnati as you are, man. I know. No,
I'm 2 hours, hour 45.
Yeah, we're both about 2 hours away. But he is. I mean, he had all the hype coming in, but man, I think, especially given the situation he's in. We talked about Mahomes. Mahomes sat his entire first year. They brought in Alex Smith to play, that season just so they could get Mahomes groomed and ready. He didn't play his first year. The situation he came into, and just the moxie and the skill set that he's shown. Man, I think long term, I'm a Burrow guy as far as if I'm going to be holding up, especially any of these first year quarterbacks.
I completely agree with you, Che. I'm really high on Burrow. I feel like he kind of reminds me of Peyton Manning. He's got the arm. I think he's got the intelligence. I see a lot of really good things in him. And he's also kind of getting beaten up the way Peyton Manning did in his rookie year with the Colts. One guy who I'm definitely 100% out on, unfortunately, is Sam Darnold. I don't know if he ever really had much of a chance because this Jets team just lacks talent at every – I mean, if everyone was healthy this year, it would have been a mediocre offense at best. But with Perryman being hurt, with Crowder being hurt, they just got Denzel Mims made his debut a couple weeks ago. I mean, the Le'Veon Bell contract was a terrible disaster that I don't think anyone thought would actually work out at the time, but it nevertheless worked out even more poorly than people expected possible. I think the Jets are going to get the first pick, and assuming Trevor Lawrence comes out, he's the next quarterback of the Jets. I don't even know if they'll be able to get like a second-round pick for Darnold because they'll have so little leverage. And so I think he's basically going to go the way of Josh Rosen and just be like another first rounder who didn't really pan out. I hope he gets another chance somewhere. I just don't think it'll be with the Jets, unfortunately. But I do really like Justin Herbert. I think he's every single time I've watched him play, I'm blown away by how talented he is. So of the three, I mean, I like Tua too, although I haven't really seen Tua too much. Kurt, I think you might be right. Tua might absolutely be super. As a Jets fan, I'm kind of worried about that. But yeah, Burrow and Herbert, I feel very confident. I'm very bullish about their long-term prospects.
Cool.
So with Darnold, you see it more of a Rosen instead of a Tannehill? Because Tannehill did nothing in Miami. He goes to Tennessee, and he's a Pro Bowler and looks awesome. But then again, Rosen was in Arizona, went to Miami, kind of flaked out. But he had a lot of intangibles from UCLA that people just didn't like. People loved Darnold out of USC, and he tore it up in college. Like being a Notre Dame guy, you know, he reminded me a lot of Matt Leinart, which he also didn't pan out in the NFL. But I kind of like to see Darnold on the Colts, you know, bit under Phillip Rivers for a year, or maybe if he goes to Pittsburgh with that team that they already have, if Big Ben wants to retire, Darnold can absolutely succeed if they put, you know, talent around him. Like Rosen went from a talentless Arizona to a talentless Miami. But, I mean, with Tannehill, he went from Miami to, you know, Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, Chris Davis, awesome defense, and coming in the AFC Championship game or close to it against Jacksonville. But they went to the AFC Championship last year and lost to Kansas City. So I almost see Darnold both ways where he could fizzle out. But if he gets to the right situation, you never know what's going to happen.
No, that's a great point. I think you're absolutely right, Chris. I think Darnold could really succeed with a really talented offensive line and running game and a solid receiving core. I think Tannehill would be kind of his best case scenario moving forward. And I don't think he had a lot, much of a chance to succeed. I mean, I don't know. I was never a big Adam Gase fan.
Gase. Peyton Manning made Gase.
Yeah, he absolutely did.
He was the offensive coordinator for Manning, who basically coordinated himself for the Super Bowl and all these records. Then he got all these. But then Manning, you know, he vouched for him, said, no, Gase is the guy. But if you watched any of those games, you know Peyton Manning's the sheriff, and he calls the shots. So that's whatever.
Yeah, so I think you're right. I think Darnold can succeed with a different, more talented team. And he does really have flashes of brilliance, but consistency isn't quite there.
Yeah.
Anything else to add, Shay? Are you good?
No, I'm good on this one.
All right, so kind of same topic, but baseball. Who's, you know, it is the off season. Who we buying? Who we selling? Why is Robert still more than Eloy, even though he's better? Tim Anderson cards are low. Is Arena going to go up? Why is my Bellinger card not worth anything? You know, Soto and Acuna, PSA 9s. Okay, let's just jump into it. So who we buying in the offseason that's just going to explode next year? Just let me tell you, Shogo Akiyama did win a gold glove in left field there, Che. Don't buy Shogo.
I'm going to lead off with an oxymoron. That might not be the right word. I would say buy Bo Bichette, I think. As I just put that SSP that I pulled 2 days ago, I just put it on eBay this morning. But, you know, we talked about this in the earlier conversation, Chris. Tatis, Bichette, give me those two guys because they have what a lot of these others don't have. If we're talking from a strictly card-related standpoint, is they've got personality and that it factor that you just can't create. You can't make somebody have that. You can't make them be exciting. You can't make them be eye-catching. And I think that so if they have the complete package of the potential, the talent, both have now proven a little bit that they can perform in the big leagues. And then you throw in that dash of personality. And so if I'm looking at long-term, who I think will be the highest performers, I think they're the closest thing to a can't miss from, you know, Robert's got all the potential in the world. He's a little older than those other guys. But I don't think he saw a big enough sample size for him in this shortened season to make a long-term decision on what's going to happen with Robert. But I like Bichette and Tatis.
I totally agree. I'm with you on Bichette. Robert, I think, is a whole team right now. His struggles in September worried me a little bit, but I'm still optimistic on his stock overall. Who's I going to just mention? Oh, Soto. I'm just very, very high on Soto. Keep buying all the Wanstead cards you can. Another guy whom I really like, Eloy. Definitely get all the Eloy cards you can get.
He's undervalued.
Absolutely. I can easily see him winning AL MVP. I'm sad to say because I really like him. And I like him doing a giveaway. Oh, there it is. A Rosarena. A little bit overvalued right now. I don't think he's going to set the world on fire next year. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's a Robert or a Soto or an Acuna. I don't think he's even particularly close to that level.
The thing about him is he has no chance to replicate the 6 weeks that he just had.
No. Best postseason history.
Yeah. So he's got to be. I mean, now he could have a long, steady career that now that he's shown what he's got. But I see a decline before I see an increase in what his cards are valued at as we go into next.
And then
I've got
Chris.
I've got two guys that you guys haven't mentioned yet, and one I'm really down on, like Gavin Lux.
Oh.
He's just on such a talented Dodgers team that he got called up for a little bit. I mean, he hit poorly, but if he can get it together, he's going to have batters around him. So pitchers are going to have to throw to him. He can play different positions, and it's cheap right now. Same like him and Aquino, Aristides Aquino. Both of them weren't on the opening day rosters. And Aquino, I bought him in the offseason after that, 8 home run tear last year, kind of like Arena can never be done again. And now it's like, what did I do? Like, I'm a Reds fan, but like coming into the season, he was the 8th best outfielder we had. I've got a huge Nick Senzel PC, and I think Senzel's legit and going to be awesome. Shogo, just coming over from Japan, is going to be good. He won the left field Gold Glove. I think they need to find the right spot for him in the order. But Yordan Alvarez, I mean, he's only the rookie of the year and then didn't play last year. I've got this maybe I got it sitting around. Auto, the triple threads out of 199. When I got it out of a break, it was selling for over $100. And then out of my Target pack, I've got a Topps refractor, patch cards going for like $25 and some other cards. So I'm like, all right, just post on my thread today, $85, no takers. I'm like, all right, $75, no takers. Like, I'm just gonna keep it because come April, like I don't need $75 that bad. I was just trying to promote my sales thread. And, throw out a huge deal out there, which I thought was a huge deal. But you're talking about last year's rookie of the year who didn't play this year, who could come back. He's on the cheaters, but they're not going to cheat again. But, he's got a lot of potential, and his cards are not expensive right now. So, I'm down on Aquino. I'm huge on Bichette and Vlad Jr. Have you seen his offseason workouts? Like, buy him. Because that Toronto team has the hitters. They've got Nate Pearson coming up. They're going to have the pitching ability. Like, they're going to be a force. I mean, the Yankees are just so good. But they're going to be a force depending on where Trevor Bauer goes. If he goes to the Yankees, they got no shot. But, they've got a shot at a wild card. And if you sneak in, who knows what can happen. But I'm big on Vlad, Bichette, Lux, obviously Soto and Acuna, just like everybody else. Bellinger, like, why doesn't Bellinger get the love he needs? I posted a tweet out today. Like, he's not flashy. He's not in your face. He's not out there. He's on such a talented team with everybody else. Like, Mookie Betts is on the team. Justin Turner's on the team. Clayton Kershaw is the face of the team. You know, you got Walker Buehler. Now you've got Dustin May and Jock Peterson and all these other great, amazing people. But he's, 25, Rookie of the Year, NL MVP, World Series champ. I think he's very underrated. So I think, you know, my major three guys are Lux, Jordan, and Bellinger, or Bichette, but those other guys, I think absolutely. And I'm trying to offload Aquino while I can because he's just.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. At this point, it's almost keep them because I've got some really cool looking cards that are maybe just PC items. But, you know, if I sell them now, it's like $40 hits per card. But, hey, do you want to salvage it or do you just want to have a cool looking card sitting around? You know, I'll take the cool looking card sitting around. So
that's cool. I'm big on basically just as teams in general. I said Bichette and Tatis, and that's the Padres and the Blue Jays. I'm just sitting here thinking, we talked about this.
Trent Grisham.
When the playoffs were. How cool would it be if the White Sox, the Padres, and the Blue Jays were all in the same division? You got to watch those teams play each other. Those three teams are just chock full of young talent. The White Sox, we barely mentioned them, but you said, you know, Eloy, we got Lewis Robert, Tim Anderson on the White Sox, Trent Grisham's on the Padres.
MVP Jose Abreu.
I mean, those three teams are just loaded. You know, you got Biggio and Vlad and Bichette in Toronto. So I think there's a lot of exciting baseball and a lot of young teams that we can look forward to seeing who rises to the top from those teams over the next couple of years for sure.
So here's that Jordan I was talking about.
That's really nice.
And the auto.
I love those triple threat autos.
Che, you were talking about San Diego. We didn't even mention Trent Grisham. I've got a whole stack of 22 cards ready to send in the PSA because, wow, like being on that team. I mean, now they got Clevenger and Paddock and Machado, Tatis. Like he's just like the overlooked guy. Yeah. That's kind of how I feel about like Senzel. There's so many, like Castellanos is the big name. Now Winker was the big name. You know, people send my daughter free Jesse Winker cards all the time because she's almost 5 and she loves it. And I send them videos. They get happy. It's a kid. You know, you're going to have $5 you're going to spend on a Big Mac value meal, or you can make a kid's day. So we get a lot, and I'm very thankful. So I'm not trying to, you know, say anything bad about that. But we've got like 20 Winker autos. Then you got the guy trying to hit me up saying, hey, $50 for this Winker card, and then tell me I'm a bad dad because I'm not buying my kid a $50 Winker card. I'm like, what's like a Block City? I'm not even responding to you on that. Like, get out of here with that mess. But his cards did go up in the middle of the year and came back down. But, you know. But, you know, I've been to Great American Ballpark often. I love it. Been to PNC. Love it. Yeah. Been to Wrigley. Been to whatever they're calling the White Sox field now. Milwaukee, San Diego. Tampa is a crap hole. Been to a lot of parks, but I gotta say my best experience was that at a Cubs game, just Wrigley being there. My best ballpark, I think, overall that I've been to is PNC in Pittsburgh. It's just beautiful. And the best experience I've ever had is actually it was Reds at Cubs. I had just moved to Chicago. I'm walking up the stairs for the very first time, and I'm like, this is baseball heaven. Like, I went to the game by myself. As I'm walking up, the pitch is leaving the pitcher's hand. Bronson Arroyo's at bat, and Bronson Arroyo hits a home run.
Oh, yeah.
My very first pitch I ever saw at Wrigley. So I wanted to ask you guys, what ballparks have you been to? Because I know, Matt, this is a huge thing that you've got this awesome ballpark story. And what's your favorites? And share an awesome at ballpark story. I mean, I've got a million of them with the Reds and running the bases with my daughter and pretending to rob home runs. But that was just like a me story, you know, so.
Can I go first because I don't want to follow Matt on this one?
Yeah, okay, you go ahead because Matt's gonna blow us out of the water on this.
So. I've only been to 3 major league parks, 2 of them in Cincinnati, the old Riverfront and then Great American Ballpark. But I had been to Wrigley, so you know if you're going to go to another one, that needs to be, I guess, the first one. That weekend, though, how's this for a weekend? I won a March Madness bracket contest that year, and the first prize was a trip to see the Bulls play at United Center when they had Jordan and Rodman. And so while we were up there, we went to that game, and the next day we said, we're here, we got to go to Wrigley. But I was at United Center the year the Bulls went 40-1 at home. I saw the one. It was the last game of the year. Reggie Miller and the Pacers. It was the game that Rodman unveiled the flaming hair. He had the flames in his hair. I was right on the baseline, about 5 rows up, and it was like that was the experience of my life. It was the one game that they lost that year. But then we went to Wrigley the next day. It was cold. This was like a late April, early May game, or late. I guess it might have been late May. But it was cold. It was windy and it was cold. It lived up to its name there. But it was an experience as a lifelong baseball fan. I'm glad that's the first non-Cincinnati park that I went to. That's my experience in Major League Parks right there. Those three. Now, Matt, this is what I've been waiting for. I want to hear Major League Parks.
I'm trying to do the I should know the parks I've been to. I think I'm at like 18.
Awesome.
I'm very, very lucky. So I went on a road trip after high school.
D Moose.
Yeah.
Sorry, just saying hi to my buddy.
Oh, say hi, absolutely. And I drove with buddies down from New Jersey, Philly. We hit Baltimore, we hit Atlanta, and then we drove across to Texas, then up through the U.S. We hit Kansas City, we hit Cincinnati, we hit Chicago, then we went up to Toronto, then we drove back east to Montreal, stayed with a couple friends, and then drove back down to New York. So it was pretty epic. It was like 17 days, hit probably like 10 or 11 parks. And so that was how I was lucky enough to like cross off most of those, which was really cool. But Chris, the way you described walking into Wrigley and seeing that field and seeing the Arroyo home run, that was like the feeling I got the first time I ever walked into Old Yankee Stadium and saw the grass on the field. And I was just like, my heart was just thumping. And I was just like, oh my, like the hairs on my arms were standing up. I was just like, oh my God, is this the coolest place in the world? It definitely is. I was so excited. So I really miss Old Yankee Stadium because New Yankee Stadium, unfortunately, does not provide that same feeling. It's a beautiful stadium. I'm a Yankees fan, but I think Citi Field is a much nicer place to watch a game than New Yankee Stadium. But you did mention a couple of your favorite parks, and also I love the hat, Chris. Very nice.
Columbus Clippers. Since we were talking about parks, I had to remember Huntington Park at the end here.
Absolutely, and we can even talk some minor league parks because I've been to a couple minor league parks and love minor league baseball, and really hope, knock on wood, that there's a minor league season next year. But PNC, Wrigley, and Fenway are my top 3 baseball stadium experiences in terms of just like the most beautiful park I've ever been to. Probably PNC.
Yeah, it's so nice.
Oh, it was just such a great day. I literally went by myself to Pittsburgh last summer just to go to a Pirates game, and it was such a great day.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because you sit and you have the whole view of the city behind you. The Allegheny River's right there, the bridge and everything. So I like sitting. Typically, when I go to Reds games, we like sitting out in left field. But now we've got kids. That's kind of dangerous. We sit usually club seats or wherever the net is. But if you sit anywhere third base side at PNC and you got that view, even like the upper deck, it's beautiful because you can see the whole entire city. I mean, it's just like Batman, the movie, where they show it from Heinz Field, though, because Heinz Field's right next to it. You literally see the entire city of Pittsburgh. You can see the Duquesne's Incline, the casinos next door. It's such a lovely just little area there. It's truly just – and as soon as you come out of that tunnel into Pittsburgh and you just see everything there, like just the whole experience is just amazing out there. I mean, people are nice because the Pirates are terrible, so they're not going to talk trash to you.
Not at all.
But we've got I live in Columbus, Ohio area. We've got the Columbus Clippers, and New Huntington Park, when it came out, actually beat out Yankee Stadium the year it came out for Ballpark of the Year. And they just have amazing family days. Like every Sunday's family day, you buy one ticket, the rest of the family gets in free. At Claire's first game ever, I bought her scoreboard message for like $10. It said "Baby Claire's first game," and when it came up, I lifted her up, and the whole stadium started chanting "Baby Claire, baby." And it was like bringing tears to my eyes. And that's when we talk about the community coming together. It's truly a blessing. And it's such a kid-friendly park. You can still get the ice cream and the little, helmets and stuff. And, you can have a couple of beers, but stay responsible. You don't have the drunks yelling at you. It's a minor league park. And it's just like whoever does the PR there and the activities at Huntington Park, kudos to you. You do an amazing job. And Che, you guys, you've got Louisville down by you. You been to minor league games over there?
Yeah. I'm actually closer to Lexington, Whitaker Bank Park in Lexington, where the Lexington Legends play. We go there most often. But then we go to Louisville probably once a summer. They got a really nice park in Louisville. But man, like you were talking in Columbus, man, my son turned, I think it was when he was 6. It cost me $50 to go to take family of 4 to the Legends game. That covered our tickets. It was his birthday. So as we walked in, they greeted us at the gate, and they had a bag full of swag for him, including a hat, a signed ball, some wristbands, a couple other things. They take us to our seats that are right behind the dugout, where you can sit your drinks on top of the dugout. He gets to throw out the first pitch of the game.
Wow.
Then they bring him back in the 7th inning, and the whole crowd sings happy birthday to him. And then they bring him and his little brother in between innings and have them do the compete, how they had just the contest. And then because his little brother's younger, they had the presence of mind to make sure that they both won the prizes, which were, water park tickets.
Wow.
$50. And that's, that included parking. How can you have that much family, that cool of a family experience anywhere else for $50? So I'm a big fan of minor league baseball, going to the minor league parks. They've got, my kids, they'll watch a couple innings and they're in the carousel, down the left field line. They're down there playing at the carousel, or, they're just doing whatever. There's so many kid-friendly things that as I've gotten older and my family's progressed, I choose to go to minor league games a lot over the major league game. We just have more fun. It's closer to home, and it's not only less expensive, it's more fun for us. So yeah, I've got all kinds of Legends gear. I'm a big, huge Lexington Legends fan, and this year not having a season was a tough pill to swallow for sure.
Yeah, it really was. And Che, you just mentioning that reminds me of when I was maybe like 8 or 9 years old. My parents took me and a bunch of my friends for my birthday to a Trenton Thunder game, and it was so much fun. And I didn't get to throw out the first pitch, and I didn't get to do any of that fun stuff in the innings, but I still had a blast. And I'm so glad that you brought up the point of how much more affordable it is, because going to a major league game for a family of 4 is prohibitively expensive for so many families. It is so expensive, and going to a minor league game is so much more affordable, and it is such a good way to keep fans involved in this game and to make sure they have the opportunity to go to a game, because it is so much more fun to experience baseball at a game, and smelling the smells of the ballpark and the sounds and just taking it all in. And I feel like Major League Baseball's decision to eliminate like 42 minor league teams is so short-sighted, because so many people now will not have a minor league team they can go to. They will not have any pro baseball team that is anywhere close to where they live. And I just feel like they are really hurting the long-term future of the sport with that really short-sighted decision.
Absolutely. Could not agree more, Matt. I mean, I'm not going to expound on it because, it's perfect. I could not agree more.
One thing I want to touch on, because this is something I do, is adopt a minor leaguer.
Yeah.
You guys are not familiar. I adopt minor leaguers, and I heard from my guy at the beginning of the season. He was in the Cincinnati Reds organization, but he was down in Miami doing some training. He needed some like pants and stuff like Under Armour tights and whatever. So I sent him a care package. And then, I conversed with him a couple times and I never heard from him again. And it was directly due to the virus. There are so many minor leaguers that they got like $9,500 for the year.
Yeah.
Who can live off 10 grand for a year? You're still expected to train and be in good shape for next year. If you're not on that call-up roster at the alternative site, if you're one of the lowers and had no season, no anything, you just lost like a year of eligibility. You're now a year older, a year of nothing. So, it affects us fans. But these guys, like I said, I lost contact with my guy. I was trying to help him through the COVID, and, we're all going through our own struggles, help any way I can. And I have no idea where he's at. Last I heard, he came over from the Dominican. He was in Miami. Like, he might be back in the Dominican. He might be in Miami. He was playing for Billings. So I honestly don't know, but I tried reaching out to adopt a minor leaguer, and they said they had stopped hearing from him. And that kind of stuff it bothers me, because you want to help people. If you're going to send somebody care packages, dinner, or, some gift cards for them to eat or whatever, maybe get some cleats. Last time I was at a minor league game, we got a whole bunch of baseballs to us, just nice people doing nice things. And, that's what my whole thing is, good people doing good things. And it's not hard to be good and do good things, like $100 a month to really help somebody chase their dreams. But then the decision just totally destroyed all that. So,
yeah, it was, a terrible decision. Go ahead.
I think it was an awful decision. And I also, too, had a similar situation to you, Chris, with an adopt a minor leaguer player where I kind of lost touch with him. So
yeah, it's the first time that I've ever lost touch with them. Usually you go through the year if they come into Columbus, traditionally like the AAA guys, they've signed their big contract. They've got, a signing bonus or something. So they don't need money. Like, one guy needed a place to stay. I'm like, I can't give you my house. I have a wife and 2 kids. I just can't do that, but I can help you look for a place to stay. I know a realtor, or can find you an apartment. I can help that way, but I can definitely help you with meals or, care packages or whatever. But, it's the guys in the lower levels that are just, they're the ones truly, I think, in need, because they don't have the huge signing bonuses. And hopefully the guys that do, because I saw a couple different players, I can't think off the top of my head, that donated money directly to minor leaguers and said, here's half my check this year. I've made enough money. Put this in, a GoFundMe, or I can't remember the exact donation site, but, help pay these people, because they're struggling too.
Yeah, I believe David Price was one of those players who donated a fairly significant portion of his salary to the Dodgers minor leaguers, whom he's never even met because he never pitched for them this year.
That's awesome.
And he didn't even pitch for the Dodgers this year either. So what a good human being,
Absolutely.
Hey, Chris, I know you've got a list of topics, but I know that Matt also has something that he's got to do with Blake later on. So I'm not trying to wrap this up, but I do want to ask you this, Matt. I want to give you a chance to talk a little bit about the podcast, Pretty Big News, and tell people who might still be viewing, tell them about your podcast, what you're doing. It's really cool. And so I'd like to hear some more about it, if you don't mind.
No, thank you so much. So the podcast is called Pretty Big News. And it features in-depth interviews with a variety of different people. And really just the common factor among all of the guests is they're people whom I think are interesting and people whom I think you might learn something from. And I want to learn something from them. So generally athletes, journalists, writers, comedians, and artists are like our big 5 or so categories. But yeah, just trying to really connect with people and try to get them to reveal something maybe that would surprise themselves, or just something that they might not have expected. I've had a couple Project 2020 artists on so far. Tyson Beck, who's down in Australia, and he's done some really interesting things with his own line of cards, working with some NBA players. He did a card with Jason Tatum. He did a card with Kyle Kuzma, Tyler Hero. He almost got Luka for a card, but that didn't quite that didn't quite pan out. So that was pretty interesting to talk to him. I spoke with F. Dot, who's an artist based in Brooklyn. Talked a lot about optimism and just kind of his companion cards. I spoke with an artist named Lauren Taylor, who's a big mental health advocate. She's based in Vancouver, and she actually suffered a traumatic brain injury. Yeah, because she was hit in the head in the face by.
Yeah, I remember that. We're trading some cards with her. Yeah, we're trading some Claire cards with her.
Nice. That's awesome. She's a fantastic human being, and I think she's endured like half a dozen surgeries so far, and is really dealing with some medical issues, medical bills, I should say, stemming from that brain injury she suffered. And so we spoke about that and kind of mental health awareness. And yeah, I had Jeff Pearlman on, who's a New York Times bestselling author. I don't think I have any of his books behind me, but he just came out with a book about Shaq and Kobe. So I talked to him about like what it was like to interview people. Miran Fader, who's a Bleacher Report writer, journalist, who's immensely talented. So yeah, just really basically trying to reach out to people. Hopefully they'll say yes. The worst thing that happens if I reach out and ask them to come on is that they say no or they just ignore me, which has happened before and will continue to happen again, and that's okay with me. So yeah, thank you so much, Trey, for the question, and it's been really fun. It's just difficult to I'm not great at promoting it on social media. I need to do a better job of that. It's just kind of hard to carve out a niche because there's so many podcasts out there and there's so much good content. So it's like, well, I could watch Queen's Gambit or I could listen to a podcast. I don't know. There's just so many different options to get your entertainment. So I appreciate all of those who've listened and downloaded.
Where can people find it on
Apple, Spotify, Google, pretty much any spot where you could listen to podcasts.
Okay, cool. And they can follow you or follow at Pretty Big News on Twitter, right?
Yeah. On Twitter, I'm Matt_Costello, CASTELLO, or at Pretty Big News, all one word. So
yeah, we've tweeted out a couple times today. When we upload this video, we'll make sure we tweet it out again, and I'll tweet it. Shay will retweet it. I'm sure Matt's been good at retweeting it, so you guys can all figure out where to find Matt. Something I'm really excited to ask you about is the relationships that you've made, because anybody who follows me knows I'm in the cards for the engagement, the relationships, meeting new friends. Like we talked about, Che and I are good friends now. Got many friends in the hobby that I've never met that are like top 5 best friends that, tragedy happens to them, tragedy happens to me. Like I weep with you. You really call people your brother and your sister in the hobby. And sometimes it's like, oh, whatever. But sometimes you actually mean it. I was looking for a card someone sent me today. I don't have it sitting here, but what kind of relationships have you built and how do they mean to you? Like, your relationship with Blake is obviously incredible, especially with Tony too. Just watching the videos you guys make, but who else do you have like a great hobby relationship with, and how did those come about? And just kind of hit on that for a little bit, because I know you said you had some issues and you're trying to be positive and positivity, and it really seems like you surround yourself by amazing human beings who are full of kindness, and that's amazing. And I kind of want to get a little view into your inner circle, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm lucky enough that a couple of them are joining us in the chat here tonight. Matthew Burke and Heavy J. Shout out to those two guys. Shout out to you, Jason, and to you, Matthew. It's been incredible to befriend people whom I've never met, and I guess the main avenue in which we met was Blake's live streams. He was initially streaming every single night, 7 days a week, which was absolutely
that was insane,
crazy. I don't know how he did that.
He had like 400 viewers every night. I remember trying to get a comment in, and no one could see my comments and stuff. And it's like, somehow I want Eloy Jimenez Blake card because I guessed it before you even put him up there. You're like, well, I'm not sure if this counts or not, but Goldline guessed. I'm like, hey man, cool.
I was on that night.
But it was literally like you can't even get a comment in because so many people are watching. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I remember that exact night too, Chris and Jack.
Yeah.
So I guess from that community. I've been able to befriend people like Eric. If you don't know Eric, he's at Those Back Pages. He has a YouTube channel himself. He's one of the most knowledgeable people I've ever met in terms of the hobby. He has so much sports knowledge. It's really impressive. And as you mentioned, Chris and Che, everyone is so kind. Everyone is so generous. I befriended a woman named Donna who I actually it's on the wall over there, so I can't just grab it and show you. But she took a photo of Gleyber Torres. She was at the Yankees game when he got his first major league hit. She took a photo, and it's a big photo. It's like 24 by 36, and she framed it and just gifted it to me because she knows that Gleyber Torres is my favorite player on the Yankees. And I'm like, Donna, you're too kind. So yeah, I mean, not that you don't have to give me anything. Just, I mean, honestly, writing me a note or a DM being like, hey, Matt, I really enjoyed listening to this episode. Or you don't even have to compliment me. You can just be like, hey, Matt, and I'll be like, hey, what's up?
Hey.
Hey. So
Hello.
hey, hello there. Getting silly here. I love it. It's been incredible, and I talk to a lot of my hobby friends honestly more often than I talk to some of my other friends. So yeah. So I mean,
Does it ever get overwhelming?
A lot right there. Does it ever feel overwhelming?
Yeah, well, sorry, I interrupted you there. I was thinking about like the mail day Mondays, and you have to pick and choose what you're going to do. So sometimes I'm like laying in bed because typically Monday's my night off. Wife's asleep next to me. I work weird hours, so I don't sleep. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this one's from, Claire. I'm like, oh, cool, it's me. But then, how do you pick? Because you get so much stuff. Does it ever get overwhelming? Like, oh my goodness, I have 100 packages this week of stuff to open from people who just want to send me stuff that, like, I know that I get stuff from my friends, and it can be overwhelming for me. If I get like 3 packages, I got these Cooper Cup cards in the mail for my son because we have a Cooper Cup PC. I mean, they're pretty great cards. Someone racked them to us.
Nice.
Let's see if you can see that.
Yeah, those are nice ones.
But like stuff like this, when people just send you things, for me, it gets me in my feels every time that someone thought enough about me, knew I PC'd Cooper Cup for my son to send me something. And for that, it's like on a times 100 level for you guys. Does that ever get, overwhelming for you? Or if you can't get back to somebody, you feel bad? And I mean, obviously I imagine you try to get back to everyone you can, but someone's got to slip through the cracks at some point because that's just human nature. So
yeah, no, that's a great question. Yeah, yes, it does get overwhelming at times. And I've definitely made trades where I forgot to send someone back the card that I owed them for like 2 months, which is kind of embarrassing because like that's something I pride myself on, is responding to everyone and not letting anything kind of slip through the cracks. Like I feel like I'm like Blake's glue guy in the sense that like I need to make sure that like nothing kind of sweeps under the rug or that he doesn't forget anything. So yeah, it definitely, I feel like it was a little more overwhelming maybe like in June, like when the project was still like maybe like up here, like kind of in the bubble, and then kind of the bubble burst, and now we've settled into sort of the around here area. But yeah, I mean, I definitely like try to make lists like every day of like who do I owe packages to? Who do I owe cards to? Who do I send stuff to today? So that helps.
Excel works really great for that too.
That's true. I don't know why I take such pleasure in just like the crossing off, the manual cross off.
Yeah, okay.
But I do Excel for like other financial things and stuff like that. But yeah, it definitely has been overwhelming at times. I'm trying to think of what I did to cope with the anxiety. I think I just remembered how lucky I am to be in the position that I'm in, and I just unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, having things that I owe people to send them back because they've been extremely generous to me is a great problem to have. Yeah, I feel like it's also just calmed down a bit since it was in that high point.
That's what my follow-up to that was going to be. You mentioned June, and you mentioned, was there ever a point was that expected, or was it like, what the hell's going on right now? I mean, was it just like, can you give us like a peek at what was going on your side of that when it was just the craziest thing we've ever seen?
Yeah, great question. It was definitely not expected. I know Blake has mentioned this in a bunch of interviews, but I think he thought print runs for his cards could be like 200 a card to maybe 2,000 a card. So then he hit, yeah, I know, right? So then
that's all he thought he was going to get? Like originally, the 200?
Yeah, I mean, Topps, he asked Topps, like, how many cards do you do for like a Topps Now card, like a random Glaber Torres hits 2 homers on, June 2nd. And I guess they might have said like maybe like a couple hundred. So he's like, oh, so maybe like 200, 300 cards per card. And I mean, that wasn't too out of line with the original, like the first 20 cards. I think maybe print runs were like 1,000 to 2,000 per card. So yeah, we definitely, I mean, yeah, I can only speak for myself. Actually, no, Blake and I definitely did not ever expect the print runs to be 70,000. I mean, I think his trout was 74,000.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and then the Griffey Shore was 99,000, and then after that, it all just seemed like it kind of went downhill from there. But I definitely don't think Topps was expecting Project 2020 to have the success it had, which is super evidenced by the fact that they didn't have enough one touches, and it took 2-3 months to get a lot of cards that you bought in May or June, which was obviously not ideal. But it did kind of feel a little bit like that roller coaster would keep going up and up and up and up and up, even though rationally it was kind of obvious that it was a bit of a bubble and like the secondary prices were so high. And I think part of that was COVID related, because there were no sports being played, no professional sports, until baseball came back in, was it July?
Yeah, mid-July. Yeah.
Mid-July, yeah. So I think for the people who are lucky enough to still have jobs and still have disposable income, if you weren't spending that on going to a sporting event or, spending sports related, going out to a movie or a concert, things that we weren't doing, still not really doing, you're spending on sport. A lot of people were spending on sports cards. And then I think people kind of realized, oh, we have no idea how long this pandemic will last. Like maybe we shouldn't be spending so much of our disposable income on a luxury item, which is, sports cards. These are beautiful art cards, which are expensive. They're $20 a card or less if you get a bundle. So yeah, I think that was kind of like maybe a little bit of not a reality check, but it wasn't a surprise, but it was a turn for the project, which was tough for me because I bought a lot of the cards at the height of the bubble, thinking that this was going to be the greatest complete set of all time, worth $1 million, which I don't think is going to be the case. But that's okay with me. But it's been really cool to just also see just all of the art by these 20 incredible artists. And it's also just interesting to see the print runs also just come back down to like 1,000, 2,000 a card. And who knows where secondary market prices will be in a year, in 2 years, in 5 years from now. I have no idea. And to predict would be just foolish. So.
Well, two things I want to hit on is, we want to thank you so much for coming on our show. The GOAT is here. We got to start over. Elroy's here all the way over, hour 23 minutes. But no, there's Claire in the background. Claire, say hi.
Claire.
There she is. You said that you were, so fortunate, and we were, Che and I were talking about, who should be our first guest. The first person we thought of was you, literally, like
too kind.
Very first person. Like, you're cool to us. Like you're really cool. Like, we want to talk to you. Want to, be friends. We want to know more about you, and you're humble. Like, oh, I don't know if I'm a popular guy or I'm gonna be a great guest. Like, you were our number one pick to have as our first guest on our show. Literally, when Che said, we should try to get somebody on here, first person he said was you. I'm like, well, we've been DMing kind of back and forth about some Claire cards. You know, I'll shoot him a message, see if he's down. And you said yes. So I didn't want to say that. And then also with the numbers going up and back down, you know, you said you bought some as you thought, oh, it's going to be worth so much money. But we know the Griffey Shores, like people are just getting rid of them now for nothing or making their own, or like I made Claire cards out of them. But, you know, the resale just went away and the flips went away. So I think that has something to do with the print runs. Like I'm still buying cards that I like.
Yeah.
You know, I want to have one from every artist, one from every ball player.
Yeah.
And that's my goal by the end of it, whether I get it from Topps, from the secondary market or whatever. I'd like to try to get every Griffey or every Nolan Ryan or every Dwight Gooden, but I haven't really picked one yet, but at least one from every artist and one from every player. But I did find it interesting that, you know, I remember the very first day they came out, and I'm talking to my wife about it, and they had Aristides Aquino living set card just came out, and then the very first was it Ben Baller Ichiro was the first card. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
And we're going back and forth on which one to buy, and we went with the Aquino because he's a red. And no, true story. Swear, we're having a conversation like over lunch, and I'm like, I don't know what this Topps Project 2020 is. I'm trying to figure it out, but you know, Aquino is going to be sweet and all this stuff, and we bought that Aquino instead of that. And I think the first Project 2020 card I bought was Blake's Nolan Ryan.
Okay.
That was the first one I bought. And I think the second one was Ricky Henderson. So I got on, you know, a huge Blake kick just from how nice he was to me, my family, my kids, his stream, just being personable. Like he responds to you on Twitter all the time. Or if I make a comment, he's like, oh, thanks, Chris. Like he knows my name.
Yeah.
Like total fanboy moment. Like, hey, Blake Jameson knows what my actual name is. He doesn't think my first name is Gold. My last name is Line Cards, because there's a huge joke about that. Then I was King Line Cards because one day Claire and I do a show. She put a crown on me. So I did a Twitter poll. Do you know my first name? And I put, you know, Chris, something else, or Gold. And someone was like, yes, your name is Gold and your last name is Line Cards. And I just went with the joke, and it was funny. But, you know, just take the time out of, you know, I don't know anything about Blake except, or you really, except that you work on this project. You're nice human beings. But, you know, like I said, Che and I wanted you to come on our show. We do this like every other Monday. And like I said, typically this is our first ever live show. And Eloy, who just joined, he's the one who even told me how to do this. Like he FaceTimed me because he's my friend. Like, again, we talk about friends you've never met. Eloy is a friend of my family. Like my daughter calls him Eloy. He calls her Eclaire because we're cool like that. And her name's Claire because he wanted to help, and he's a helper. He's a good guy. So he's FaceTimed me, walked me through this whole process of how to do this. And here we are with our first ever live stream. So, you know, I just wanted to say how much you guys like inspire other people. Again, definitely want to hit on that, and other artists, definitely me and my family. The kindness you guys show to the hobby, to the community does not go unnoticed. You know, there's other people who are talking about you, whether you want to know it or not, and it's all positive things. Never heard one person say a negative thing about really anybody in the Project 2020 community, except for maybe I don't like this card, which everyone's allowed to have an opinion. There's a lot of cards I don't like. I'm sure there's cards you don't like.
There are.
I'm sure there's cards Jay doesn't like. I don't like the Big Mac card with the Big Mac on it. A lot of people did, but I didn't like that card. Like I said, my favorite was my favorite is Ichiro. Some people might not like this card.
Yeah.
It's my favorite. We're all human beings. We have, you know, we have our own opinions. So
yeah, I agree. I did a video. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought. Go ahead.
No, and in saying that's all I want to say about you guys. You know,
Yeah.
with that.
I'll wrap it up. Echo what he said. You guys have been, you know, all of you on your team have been so interactive. Whether it's Tony via email, you via DM, even if I make fun of you by sending the GIF with the mouse on your shoulder. But, you know, and then Blake, I posted a video. It didn't get a lot of views because I don't have a lot of followers, but I was just talking about Project 2020 and how I hated it, and it didn't make sense, and these cards are ugly, and what does everybody see in them? And then I see the Blake Jackie Robinson, and I'm like, I get it. I get it now. And it just spoke to me, you know, and then his Willie Mays just spoke to me. So I'm on a mission to get all the Blakes because there's something about his cards. But anyway, I posted that because that was during a time when people were still trashing on 2020. And I just posted a video on my Twitter feed, and I go out and I come back and I see a reply, and I look down, and it's Blake. And not only did he not just type a reply, he went and recorded a video and replied to my video. And I'm like, that's the way you do it, man. That's the way that you engage with people. And from that point forward, every engagement I've had with you guys has been just amazing. So I was very happy, but not surprised at all when Chris reached out and said, yeah, Matt said yes. And I was like, of course he did. Of course he did. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for spending an hour and a half of your time with us on a Monday night when we know that you're going to go keep working. You got something coming up at 10 o'clock. We know you do. So again, thank you so much for coming and speaking with us tonight. Really, really enjoyed it.
It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you guys for the invite, and I'm happy to join any other time at any point, anytime. And before we get out of here, I've got to ask you guys one question because we spoke about it a little bit. And I know you got to run really soon, Chris, and we all do. But inspired by the Murray Hail Mary yesterday. What is the greatest sports moment? Doesn't have to be in person. It's the greatest sports moment or the most memorable sports moment you've ever witnessed.
Can I go first?
Please, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Murray pass last night got me in the mind of the Hail Mary. So I was just thinking Hail Mary. And I thought about Cordell Stewart against Tom Brady in the Michigan Wolverines if Tom wasn't playing. But he threw that ball 63. He was on the 27-yard line. 63 yards in the air to Michael Westbrook in the end zone. So I thought that's got to be the greatest. But then I remember 2013. I'm a big college football guy. I don't know if you guys remember this. Auburn in back-to-back weeks.
That game, yeah.
Against Georgia, the crazy – it hit the defender in the chest and bounced over his head and hit the guy in for the game-winning touchdown. And then 7 days later, they had to pick six against Alabama. To me, those two things combined, if you look at Auburn's week, I've never seen anything like that. So that's the we won't talk about some others that have. Don't you say Christian Laettner, Chris? But no, that was.
I promise I won't. We all know about the 2.1. So
just that encapsulated back-to-back games against top 5 opponents that propel you to the national title game. I don't see it getting much better than that for me.
And well, I didn't even think about this. It wasn't on my list here. But the Auburn, when they caught the field goal that was short, they ran it back 109 yards.
Yeah, the next week. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That happened the next week after the Hail Mary.
That was probably like the craziest thing besides the band is on the field, which I didn't witness because I was like not even born yet, or possibly one. But for me, two that really stick out is the Jeter play versus the A's, where the play is coming from right field. He comes out of nowhere, gets this play, and over gets Giambi out. Jacoby Jones absolutely broke my heart in the 2012 playoffs. That's the best Denver Broncos team I've ever seen. And they gave up a Hail Mary, like 5 seconds left because Raheem Moore jumped too soon. But obviously, number one of all time that I witnessed was the John Elway helicopter. I mean, Super Bowl, you could see it in his face in every replay. He's like he's getting that first down, like he's getting that trophy. And at the end, he Pat Bowlen goes, "This one's for John," and John just like the elation, like it was. I was 16. I drank my first beer that night. Of course, we're drinking Coors Light because brewed in the Rockies. So it was just like the most memorable sports moment. That for me is that like those three are what came off the top of my head. But the Elway helicopter just takes the cake because that got him the Super Bowl, and that's an iconic moment.
Yeah.
What about you,
I have
Matt?
a card up here somewhere too.
Yeah. I wasn't really thinking football too much before, but now I'm thinking David Tyree's helmet catch.
Ooh.
Oh,
this one kind of hurts me, but the Russell Wilson interception against the Patriots from the 1 yard line.
absolutely.
And but initially when I thought of this question, oddly enough, I'm not even a big swimming fan, but my first thought was 2008 Michael Phelps, that race, I think it was the butterfly, where he out-touched the guy by 1/100th of a second, and he was like losing the whole race, and he came back.
Yeah.
And it was like literally like by like 2 millimeters of, 2 centimeters, he out-touched him, and that kept his streak going so he could win 8 gold medals. And for some reason, I just have such a vivid memory of watching that at my friend's parents' house in the summer of 2008. And so I was like, Michael Phelps.
And that's awesome that you brought up Olympic sport. And, and I know we got to wrap this up, but it's crazy how the Olympics will do that. They will get you so into a sport that you don't normally sit and watch, and it becomes a lifelong memory. So that's an awesome one, because as you were saying it, I was like, I remember that whole summer, and I had not thought about that. So that's awesome that you brought that up.
Or how about the USA Baseball in the Summer Classic where was it Adam Jones with the catch and then the home run? Like, as we're talking, like things are just coming to mind of unbelievable plays, or the Paul O'Neill where he kicked the ball in to the infield. Everything Ozzie Smith did every single week, like we can go on and on and on, but that's my list of 3. So I'm going to wrap it up tonight unless you guys have anything else to talk about.
No, I don't.
Go ahead, Matt.
Thank you guys for inviting me on, and just for all the good and generous things that you guys do for the hobby. It is appreciated, and it does not go unnoticed. So thank you guys.
Thank you, man. Again, appreciate you being on here. Thank you, Chris, for letting me be involved with this as well. So
Eloy made some comments about the Kirk Gibson home run.
Oh, good one. And the Derek Fisher. Robert Ory. Yeah.
I was just thinking as a Cavs fan, the Kyrie Irving, like the LeBron block and then the 3. Like I grown man cried that night. Like the city of Cleveland has had nothing for 60 years until that, like coming back from 3-1 to win. But thank you everybody for watching. Remember, it's Chris, Goldline Cards.
Che, Ian Sports Cards 1.
And I'm Matt Costello at Matt Costello.
And Matt, don't forget about the Pretty Big News.
Yes, follow the podcast, download, subscribe at Pretty Big News. Appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. It's been an hour and a half. I know Matt's got his stream tonight. Jay's probably got to put the boys to bed, and I actually got to get to work tonight. I'm working some overnight hours. So appreciate you guys being on, all the watchers and comments. We love it. We love interaction, engagement. If you're going to be watching this video after we upload it as well, comments we'll respond to, or you've got our Twitter handles up here. Matt said his many times. Hit us up on Twitter or, different social media platforms. But thank you so much for the comments, and we'll see you. Peace and love.
Good night, everybody.